Hello and good morning, everybody. It's me, Julian, and as promised, today I would like to continue my series of reflections on how you can use reading and writing and thinking as a way to enrich your life. And I'm going to turn this into a daily series in which I condense some of the arguments. And today's idea is this: you should never stop paying attention to things. Your sensitivity is a gift. And staying interested in the world is actually a powerful way of feeling alive and connected. Chesterton once joked that you should not confuse his absent-mindedness for a lack of interest, for it is his very focus on what matters that makes him appear absent-minded. It's a wonderful way of suggesting that focus and attention is an act of grace. It's about choosing to focus on one thing and tuning out everything else. Chesterton also said that if you say grace before a meal, then you should also say grace before you read a book or listen to a piece of music, for they too are gifts to be thankful for. Susan Sontag argued that we're facing mass sensory anesthesia, which is to say we're constantly overwhelmed and overstimulated. And the paradox is that amidst this confusion of impressions, we actually lose the ability to feel at all. We become numb, we become desensitized to the world, and a creeping sense of alienation sets in which we feel like there is something in life that we are missing out on, that we don't know or which we no longer know how to access. And what I'd like to do in this short video is give you some sort of step-by-step reflections on how you can use reading and writing and thinking to overcome this sensory anesthesia. One of the paradoxes of contemporary existence is that we are nominally free, which is to say we have more freedom and access to distractions and things that are supposed to make us feel good than ever before. And yet, paradoxically, being able to watch anything on Netflix, for example, or stream any music or look up any information on your phone makes it harder to think and to feel and to actually choose to focus on something. There's the second screen or third screen phenomena where people can only watch a movie if they're also on their phones. And this process of bifurcating your focus, of diminishing your attention, is actually, I think, something that appears to us as enabling us, but actually diminishes us, reduces us. Attention is an act of grace. Choosing to be present in the world, to focus, to be able to situate yourself in the moment is an immensely powerful thing. And if we lose it, we lose such a key dimension of what it means to feel alive. People used to say that the whole point of listening to a piece of music was that you sat down and listened to the whole thing. And yet now you just listen to your favorite tracks. In the same way, when it came to reading, we went from reading books to reading quotes. We have here a bifurcation of our attention that started a long time ago. And perhaps the point, therefore, is to, in a very intentional way, try to take back our attention. Try to be able to focus once more. There's a great line from Oscar Wilde in which he says that the books that you read when you don't have to read will determine the person you become when you don't have to be a person. I'm paraphrasing, but basically what he's saying is that there's a difference between reading because you have to, like for school or studying, versus reading for joy or comfort or discovery. Finding reading as something that gives you pleasure is actually an enormously important point. So why do we read? Well, I think we read for different reasons. Sometimes we read for information, but perhaps moreover we read to also think about ourselves. Like we're reading something, but it's also a way of confronting ourselves with our own thoughts. As Proust put it, every reader is a reader of himself. Secondly, I think we read to feel less alone. We read to feel like we are with others. We read because we're curious about what other people think, whether it's what they thought about a movie or a sports game, whether it's how they experience the world reflects our own, or perhaps we discover something new. It is a powerful tool for empathy in that sense. And perhaps, for me most importantly, the third reason that we read is because we sense that there is something in us that we want to articulate, but we do not know how to. That a book in that sense has the power to put into words something which we always already felt, but lacked a way of expressing ourselves. Which is to say, books therefore aren't simply about the exchange of information. It's not about acquiring or accumulating knowledge. It's not about speed reading. Instead, it's about that powerful process of seeing on the page something which you knew to be true, but could not say yourself. And in this sense, books can spark ideas. They can give you a sense of making your own connections. You start scribbling in the margins and wanting to write something yourself. I think that imitation in this sense is actually a powerful act of self-emancipation. To read is to want to write yourself. To listen to music is to want to create something or sing something yourself. Perhaps today you could say that podcasting has the same effect. People listen to a podcast and they realize that they too have something to say. And I think that that moment of realizing that you're not just passively consuming the world, but that you can actually make something yourself and that you can share it, is therefore also what it means to consider contemplation and thought as an act of grace. Which to say, it begins by bringing your attention to bear upon the world, by choosing to focus on something, and therein realizing that it is precious. Chesterton once wrote that to love something is simply to realize that it may be lost. And if we are afraid to love the world, if we're afraid to bring our attention to it, it means that we have already therefore tacitly lost it. We have lost something precious in the world and therein something precious in ourselves. And so by choosing to focus, staying interested in the world, remaining alive to the possibilities of what it means to live, reading and writing and listening to music and going out to museums and meeting with friends at a cafe and talking and discussing and feeling like there is something worth living for, is therefore a way of feeling more alive. It is an act of grace. It is a mode of life rather than a way of life. Because one of the traps, I think, of contemporary existence is that we're sold lifestyles. If only we have the right brand or the right piece of clothing, we can pretend to ourselves and to other people that we exist. But the clothes are doing the work for you. The branding or the car is doing the work for you. And so you're just a consumer. You're not actually doing anything. And once again, this can be satisfying in the moment, but the pleasure diminishes very quickly. And so for me, it's about saying, how do you go out into the world and feel like you want to notice it and capture it and refract it, which used to be called sublimation, to take something in the world and sublimate it into something else, both the good and the bad, the beautiful and the grotesque, to really relish the world for all its imminent contradictions, all its complexities, to be able to want to live them and think them and write about them and read about them, discuss them, and turn that into art, turn it into a film or a poem. That is what it means to live, I think, a rich life, a life full of meaning and purpose, a life that makes you feel like it was worth living somehow. And perhaps thereby realizing that attention is vitality, that staying interested in the world is not simply an act of gratitude, but it's a way of wanting to do more things and feeling more alive, and suddenly everything becomes interesting. One idea leads to the next. That, I think, is what it means to live a rich life, at least for me. And so it starts by appreciating the world. It starts by going out into the world, by taking it all in, having an antenna that sticks out of your head, having that attention, paying attention to the world, realizing that time is precious and that there is so much that you can do with it. And then once you've created that space of contemplative, meditative attention, then you can create and then you can pass it on. And ultimately, that's what all grace is. It's appreciation redoubled by creation, which is then passed on so that you can light a fire in other people. The mind is not merely a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled. And attention is how we build that fire. It is how we focus ourselves on the world. It is how we force ourselves, for it can also be hard. It is how we apply ourselves to the world, and in so doing apply thought to the world and make the world a lovable place, a place to be cherished, and therein making our life feel meaningful and full of purpose. That's my mini reminder that you should never stop paying attention, never stop being interested in the world. Once you get your attention back, there are so many interesting things out there. I really want to encourage you to never lose sight of that. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this short meditation. I'll also post a longer lecture, like a more fully fledged philosophy lecture, but I'm going to experiment with this format a little bit. Please do let me know what you think. You can also read my daily reflections on Substack or catch my clips on Instagram. Have a wonderful week.